Good morning, fathers of daughters. This is Ephraim Martin, and welcome to another live stream. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Welcome to Girl Dad YouTube channel, where you get your up-to-date information about fathers of daughters. Girl dads, we are in the house this morning. Mi amigos, bienvenidos. Aquí, hoy. Gracias. Okay, fathers, I welcome you back to Grow Dad YouTube channel. And what we do here is we provide information, educational information through instruction to help fathers understand our sense of urgency that we must have with our baby girls in order to build long-term sustainable relationships with our daughters. I'm a Grow Dad of 4 adult daughters, 36, 30, 26, and 24. So fathers, I'm here, and all fathers are welcome, regardless of your ethnic group, background, and or culture. I welcome you all because one of my goals is to help fathers build those sustainable relationships with their daughters. Okay? That's one of my goals, fathers. Okay, fathers, so today what we're going to be talking about is a little bit different. It's about estranged adult children. And for those fathers that have older children like myself, you know, my oldest daughter's 36, and I got a 30, 26, and 24. Have an amazing relationship with all of my baby girls because I was a part of their life, birth to 18 years of age. And I never did anything in their life, never brought any trauma to their lives, never brought any foolishness and nonsense to their lives, never brought any hardships to my baby girls' lives. And I have an amazing relationship. So I'm not isolated from my daughters. I see my daughters as often as I can. I speak with my daughters all the time. I have 3 that live in Colorado, and I have my oldest. She's a nurse and college professor. She lives in Texas. So I get to hang out with my 3 older, my 30, 26, and 24-year-old here. And I see my my oldest when I can, normally twice a year. And I speak with her on a bi-weekly basis, depending on what her schedule is, because she's a busy woman. But I love my girls. My girls are amazing women. I did well. I was blessed by the grace of God to be able to be in these young ladies' lives and show them what a good man is, that there are good men that are available for husbands because their father is a good man. He's a good human being, and he was great to them. So when we're talking about estranged adult children, what am I talking about, fathers of daughters? Estranged adult children, normally when an adult child is estranged from their parents, they cut them off for whatever reason. And it mostly happens to fathers versus mothers from my research. I have 3 excellent videos that I'm going to share today. 2 are research-based from psychologists. And then I went on over to TikTok, where there's a wealth of information that you can share if you're prepared to do the research. And I came across and made my own video from TikTok showing how some of these women are feeling as adult children and why they cut their parents off and why they're no longer dealing specifically with their fathers. They have childhood issues. They have childhood trauma. So I didn't really know too much about estranged adult children until a couple years ago. I really didn't. I didn't have an idea. I didn't know that there's a lot of adult children that don't have contact with their parents. Never knew, honestly. So, you know, when I found that out a couple years ago, you know, I paid attention, and none of my circle of friends that I grew up with that are still with us, that are living, that I went to high school with, have bad relationships with their children that I'm aware of. And so the research that I've done and continue to do on estranged adult children is mostly happening with millennials and Gen Z. Now, it does happen with Gen X parents like myself, but like I said, I'm only seeing from the research that I do on social media platforms where people come and share their information, their private information. So it's very unique. It's very interesting to me because I don't understand it. I can't imagine not having a relationship with my daughters because I've never done anything foul in their life. You know, I don't bother my girls. They're adult women. They're living their best lives. They're all professionals doing their thing. They're compassionate, empathetic women, great women. So, you know, I'm just happy to see them. My daughters know my role in their life at this stage is I want all my daughters to be married so I can have grandbabies. If that's in the picture, you know, that's what I want to see happen. And you know, my daughters know live your best lives. I don't get in their business. Never have, never will. I've never controlled my children. I've never, you know, told my daughters what to do. I've always led my daughters. And you know, like I tell them today, specifically, I'll be 60 years old next year in 2025. So my role as their father is to embrace them and not embarrass them. You know what I'm saying? When I see a lot of this stuff on social media with these adult parents and their kids putting them on blast, man, it's shameful. It really, really is. But hey, I guess those are the relationships that they have with their parents. And it's unfortunate, you know, that the world has become such a place where people are so comfortable with strangers pouring out their hearts. There's just no secrecy and privacy anymore with social media. I'm so glad that Gen X, we didn't grow up on social media. But I honestly think if we had grown up on social media, we would have used it totally different than the way millennials and Gen Z use it. I totally believe that. We don't have a lot of the issues that millennials and Gen Z have because we didn't grow up on it. You know, we were latchkey kids. We had to take care of ourselves, you know, get ourselves up to go to school, to go to work, take care of our other siblings. That was never a question. So I guess millennials and Gen Z, a lot of them are feeling a certain way. So, you know, it is what it is. But I just find it interesting. So the first two videos I'm going to share with you, fathers, is from two different psychologists. And they're going to explain the estrangement of adult children. Okay? All right, fathers, welcome and process what's going on here today with these great videos. All right, let's get busy.
For the adult child, there's a lot of upside to being estranged. It's tied to this narrative of personal growth that I just talked about, and happiness. There's also enormous social support from therapists. This is the topic of a webinar that I talk about. I have a chapter in my book about the way that contemporary therapy contributes to this problem by making it seem like any feelings of guilt or obligation should be pathologized, you know, that's being codependent, or your parents being emotionally incestuous or narcissistic. All these things that, you know, in prior generations were considered good involved parenting have now become pathologized. And so for the adult child, there's a lot of upside and a lot of social support. There's always been estrangements. The idea of cutting off a parent as emblematic of a kind of existential courage is certainly new. You know, whereas before it wouldn't have been considered in that camp. Whereas for the parent, so there's all these upsides for the adult child. For the parent, there's no upside to it. It's all shame. It's all loss. It's all grief. It's all being cut off from the people that matter the most to you. It's all being excommunicated from a society of parents and grandparents who mean a lot to you. So there's this enormous disparity, but that also informs the way that I work as a psychologist when I'm doing family work with an estranged parent. And if I can get the adult child in the room, what I'll tell the parent before starting the work is, this isn't marriage therapy, meaning marriage therapy, you both come in as equals and you start talking about your perspective, your adult child talks about their perspective. I mean, your spouse talks about their perspective. You both equally have a claim on the future of the relationship. This is more like divorce therapy, where you've been able to, your partner's left the marriage, but they're willing to come back and hear you out. That's more what it's like, which means there's enormous disparity in the power and an imbalance in the power, which means that parents do reasonably, realistically have to do more of the work. They have to do more empathy. They have to show more leadership. They have to make amends to the adult child for the ways that they felt hurt to them. They can't get defensive. They can't explain. They can't defend. And those are all things I think are important and necessary for parents to do. But I think parents are still kind of wedded to this older idea, at least the ones who get in trouble with their adult children, this old idea that the adult child owes them something, they owe them respect, they should be grateful for all the sacrifices that the parents have made. And that just sends things off on the wrong footing. I work with a lot of immigrant parents in my practice who often left, cultures and societies of enormous privation, and sacrificed everything to bring their kids here, to raise them in the American dream, send them to an Ivy League college. And then the kids go to the Ivy League college and they get this kind of more Euro-American centric view of what parenting should be like, which is basically, this valorization of the child, an idealization of the child, and the childhood experience. And then they're saying, well, my peers were raised in this kind of way, and you raised me in this way that I think is emotionally abusive, so I'm cutting you off. And the parents feel like, we left everything. We sacrificed everything for you. And because we were stricter, than your Euro-American friends, you're going to kick us to the curb. And it doesn't mean that the parents should just not have to make repairs or amends or empathize with what that much more strict behavior felt like to the adult child. Is just the adult child to not actually factor in everything that the parent did for them to get them, say, into an Ivy League school and provide them with a life of intense privilege, is just morally wrong as far as I'm concerned.
Now for the Big Mama developmental milestones, also called stages of development. These are
Family estrangement is being called a silent epidemic by mental health professionals because the numbers of estranged families are increasing. Estrangement is something new in the sense that it was rare in previous generations for adult children to stop speaking to their parents. In this video, I will explain the many reasons this happens. Hi there, and welcome to Becoming an Expert at Self-Leadership. I'm Micah. I'm a psychologist, and if your adult child has stopped speaking to you, the first thing I'd like to say is, I understand that is incredibly hard and painful. I hope that by providing some information, I can help you find a bit of orientation. Here are common reasons adult children cut off contact. Number 1, your ex has alienated them from you. Unfortunately, children are often used against exes and divorces and breakups. And it could be that your ex has talked about you and what happened in such a way that your children have a distorted picture of you in the past and now find it hard to trust you. Number 2, your son or daughter-in-law made this decision. It could also be that there is an issue between you and your son or daughter-in-law, or between your families, or between your family and them. If your son or daughter-in-law doesn't feel accepted, they may have influenced your child and now made this decision for themselves, your child, and their family. Number 3, your child's therapist recommended it. Therapists have different perspectives on estrangement and different ways of handling it, but this is something that they may recommend to their clients if they feel this is what's best for the adult child. Now, parents may ask, should therapists really do this? And I would say definitely. There are cases in families where no contact is what's best for the adult child, and it is the only option. At the same time, there are also cases where this decision is made too quickly. Number 4, this is your child's way of enforcing boundaries. If your child has asked you to respect certain boundaries and you haven't done that yet, this may be your child's way of protecting their boundaries. These boundaries often have to do with how you treat your grandchildren, how often a parent demands support, attention, or time from their adult child, or with other expectations the parents may have. Number 5, your relationship is a threat to your child's emotional and mental healing and growth. Parent-child relationships used to be a lot about obligation and duty. Previous generations stuck with their parents out of a sense of duty. Current generations aren't willing to sacrifice their own mental health only on the grounds of duty. Their parents' physical well-being isn't on the line anymore if they cut off contact, and mental health has become an important value to modern generations. If there is something about the way that you treat your adult child that stands in the way of their inner emotional well-being and health, that could be why they stop speaking to you. This often happens when parents insist that their child be a certain way that they've always wanted them to be, and their child doesn't feel like that's actually them, and they want to break free from this definition and grow into who they are authentically. Number 6, you disagree on issues that are very important to you and or your child. This could be a number of things: religion, politics, gender identity, sexuality. Families that stay together find a way of being together that has room for differing opinions, perspectives, choices, and individuality. Adult children may cut off contact from their families if there is no room for their perspective in their family, if they are silenced, judged, criticized, or humiliated for their individuality every time they spend time with their families. Number 7, the way you or your family treats your child makes them feel less than. Some people need a whole week to recover from an interaction with their parents. If this is what it's like for your child, they may have cut off contact for that reason. It's painful and takes a lot of energy to bounce back emotionally from difficult family interactions. Your child may have decided that they're no longer willing to invest this energy. Number 8, you haven't been willing to be accountable for what happened in your child's childhood. Your child may have tried to talk to you about what happened in their childhood, and you may have changed topics, blamed them, or only defended yourself. To your child, staying in contact feels like they're silently agreeing with what happened in the past. Also, without working through the past, you may unintentionally be recreating dynamics that are hurtful to your child. Your child may need to hear you take accountability and see you work on change. After listening to these different possible reasons your adult child may have cut off contact, you may still have a lot of questions. Maybe you're not sure what exactly it is that you say or do that makes your relationship hard for your child. Or maybe it's a mix of some of the reasons that I've mentioned. Or maybe you're unsure of what to do next. The most important decision for you to make is to decide that you're willing to self-reflect, that you're willing to have some difficult conversations, and that you're willing to work on yourself. Most children don't cut off contact with their parents on a whim. They tried for years to make the relationship work, but couldn't find a way. If you're willing to be open to your child's perspective and work together to rebuild your child's trust, your child may be open to taking up contact again. I've got several videos on empathy skills on this channel that provide helpful tools you'll need for any upcoming interactions with your child. I'll add the links to these videos in the description box below this video. And I also recommend you read this exceptionally on point and well-written book by Joshua Coleman, Rules of Estrangement: Why Adult Children Cut Ties and How to Heal the Conflict. I wish you all the best with this. Till next time, take care. And remember, change and difficult conversations can be unpleasant, but they're often worth it.
Okay, fathers, give me a second here. I made a video and I'm trying to bring it up. So give me a second here, fathers. Okay, fathers, I got the video. I had to maneuver some of this technology, our good old technology here. All right, fathers, here's the final video. It's about 21 minutes long. I made it from all the social media coming from TikTok. These are adult daughters.
If you are estranged from your dad, stop scrolling. For those of us who are estranged from our fathers by our choice or their choice, it's really hard on Father's Day. In my instance, it's per my choice that I no longer speak to my dad or have anything to do with him. This day is hard for different reasons. It's not hard because I miss him. It's not hard because I feel like I don't have a dad, because my father-in-law is literally one of the best humans in the world and has taken me in as one of his own. So it's not because I miss him. It's because I mourn the relationship that I should have with my dad, in the sense of what I know I deserved. My dad and I have always had a rough relationship. Whenever I was young and naive, I thought he hung the moon. And as I got older, I realized that wasn't the case. As I got older, things started to not go very well. And there was a lot of yelling and talking down and name calling. And I just knew that it wasn't the same relationship that most of my friends had with their dad. And looking back, that hurts really bad. Just because now that I'm a parent myself, I can't understand how someone can choose to be that way and how someone can be so selfish. Because I know my dad will never be able to love anyone as much as he loves himself. So I would always feel like, what is wrong with me? Why am I not lovable? Why am I not good enough for him to want to put me first and my siblings? And as I've gotten older, I realized there is nothing that I can do to change any of it. I was a straight A student, graduated with over a 4.0, was in every club coming and going. I tried to be the perfect child, minus the back talking, because I've always been opinionated. And nothing I ever done was good enough, unless it made him look good. Then he wanted to brag on me. So I was always trying to find something that he would deem his level worthy of praise or worthy of, I don't even know. And that's why I came to the point that there is nothing that I can do. I can never do anything to force him to not be a selfish human. And I know somebody will probably see this that is friends with him or his wife, and they're going to send it to him, and then he's going to, oh, I can't believe she done me that way. But we don't want to have conversations about how you treated me as a child. How now as an adult, I still struggle with feelings of never being good enough. Feelings that if I'm not a perfectionist, then nothing is ever good. Or wondering why I can't have a relationship with my dad the way that my friends or that my husband and sister-in-law have. Or realizing that I was cheated out of a positive relationship from my father. And girls do need a good relationship with their father. And I was cheated out of that. Or the fact that now that I have kids, you still haven't changed. And that right there was my ultimate breaking point. There are many times in my life as I got older that I cut off communication with my dad. And then I would always go back and try to work on things again, because it's always me trying to work on things. And then once I became a mother and realized that my kids are now being subjected to the same things, I put my foot down. I will not allow them. I will not allow them to have a grandpa who comes in whenever he wants and then disappears for forever. Because that's what happened. If I wanted to see my dad, even as a teenager, I would have to drive to Ohio to see him when I lived in Kentucky and he was in Ohio. He didn't come visit us. And the one time since my husband and I have been together that he came and stayed with us just to come down, not because I just had a baby or there was a family thing happening or whatever, I generally thought he was coming to stay with just me, to visit with me. This was before my youngest was born. No. He brought my brother and sister to my house and then proceeded to leave because he had made plans with a woman while he was in. So yes, Father's Day is a very hard day, but it's not because I miss him. It's not because I'm sad. It's because I mourn for my younger self. I mourn what she deserved. Because now, my 30s has been my road to getting better mentally, physically, spiritually. It's like I'm on a path of finding myself and what makes me happy. And in that journey, I realized that the relationship with him was not helping me. I literally use the phrase, if someone or if a relationship does not add anything positive to my life, but only causes me stress, anxiety, and just negative feelings, it has no place in my life. As a Christian, yes, I forgave him. So that's why I'm not angry anymore. But I still mourn for the child that is still inside of me. And that's hard. But I am so very thankful that I'm on this journey and I'm healing. Because I know I deserve it. I know the child version of me deserved it. And she did not deserve anything that happened to her. And until people want to start taking accountability for that, there's no place in my life. No place. I am going to go live tonight. I'm going to try around 6:30. And this is going to be a live at 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. This is going to be a live for all of the girls and women who are estranged from their dads. A place for us to come together, realize that we're not alone, and get some encouragement. So if you want to join me at 6:30 Eastern Standard Time, I will be going live. And for all of the other girls and women in the same position as me, you are worthy, you are lovable, you do not have to try to be perfect, and there is nothing you can do to change people if they don't want to accept their actions. So try not to hold on to things and try to start healing, because trust me, it is very freeing.
It wasn't easy for me, and I remember I was laying in the studio. It was late. I was staying there. I was laying on the couch watching something or other on the screen after finishing the session, and the feeling of loneliness just came over me so hard. And I was like, I've got everything that I wanted when I was younger, but man, this is lonely. And it felt so empty. And I had money in my bank account, and I decided, I was like, okay, that's it. I'm just going to buy enough drink to do the job, and I'm out. And then I remember I ended up passing out, and the next day I woke up and you came to my mind first. And I was like, no, that was the light switch moment where I was like, no, I need to do something about this, because what I realized in that moment is a big part of stuff that I had struggled with was down to my relationship with my dad. If I had taken that way out, which I wouldn't say is the easy way out, because
it's definitely
there's nothing
not
easy about feeling like that.
No,
like,
not at all.
There's nothing easy about making a decision that this life is done and I'm gonna, exit stage left. But then I knew all I was gonna be doing then is passing all of my shit onto you and saying, yeah, go for it. Like, I couldn't do it, but you
can.
You go ahead.
You give it a shot.
Like, out of nowhere, I remembered I'm a dad. Like, and that really did, like, save me. That I
So I just wanted to make a quick video on some of the content that I've been making lately. And sometimes when I go through the comments and when I approve them and then disapprove some, they're usually the people that like to dig in and make us feel really upset about being estranged. And they make it all about how it's our fault. It's our fault. See, the thing that we don't understand as estranged parents is that this is all new to us. Like, I knew my generations and generations and generations because we learned to forgive each other. So the question I was asked on one of the comments is, they are your children. Your answer is in your question. They are your children. We know this and we totally understand it. And that's something that we can't believe, is the fact that they don't want anything to do with us. Some kids have come from really horrible backgrounds, some people not so, and some people just didn't know how to love. Not know how to love, show love. Because I was sexually abused as a child, and as much my love language to my children was to buy them everything. But now I'm nurturing the behavior, the spoiled behaviors from them to now. And the second part of the question was, how can you be okay and not hurt and miss them? We totally miss them. Just because we're removing ourselves from something that's really affecting us and our mental health, it doesn't mean we don't love them. It means that we've come to a point in our life where we go, okay, I have to be healthy, I have to be happy. And if it's without them, you didn't give us a choice. We had to learn to be without you. And so from them, we still have to work, we still have to function. And that's the ability of a mature adult that has learnt to grieve and has learnt to be okay with having to be alone.
I am 35 years old, and I will definitely say that I've known my dad my entire life. But there are other things that I feel like make a man or somebody's dad a deadbeat versus just never showing up. I was a really big daddy's girl. Now, as time goes by, as we grow up and we start understanding a little bit more about life, we kind of get a chance to pay attention to our parents, especially our mothers, and see what type of role they take on. And then a little bit later, we realize our mother prioritized the role as being a mom a lot more than our fathers prioritized being a dad. My mom would always go to work, but my dad would sit home. And of course, so his job would be to watch us. The very first things that I remember in my childhood is my dad, when my brother was a brand new baby, he would sit downstairs and play video games all day long, the entire time my mom was gone. What he will also do is allow my newborn brother to just cry to the very top of his lungs. And he would not even think about, walking upstairs to get him. So that resulted in eventually my mom getting rid of my dad. She did not play that shit whatsoever. My mom felt like if she was going to get up and go to work, the least he could do is be watching the kids and not allowing her newborn ass baby to be sitting up screaming at the top of his lungs crying. But when I was that young, it hurt me a lot because, like I said, I was a really big daddy's girl. So that hurt me to my core. It ripped me apart. As time went by, I ended up, getting used to it. Now, I remember when my brother turned about 1 year old, my dad introduced us to his new girlfriend. But when I first met her, she was the bomb. Like, she had went to the store and bought me, all kind of little purses and stuff from a Target or something like that. And those were my very first memories of her. She used to play Monopoly. And I guess I liked her because she was doing the kid things, with me. And I really enjoyed that. And from there, things kind of declined. So, of course, being a small child, I'm in elementary school, I'm in middle school, and, kids need things. So my mom would tell me to ask my dad for something. Let's say it was a school book fair or something like that. And she would be like, call your dad and ask him for $5. I call my dad and ask him for $5, and it was always a no. Every single time I would ask my dad for anything, he never had it. Even to this day, the one thing that I can recall my dad ever buying for me, and I don't know, I was 5 years old, he bought me a bracelet that had all of the Disney characters on it. I real life can't think of one other thing that my dad has contributed or purchased.
Unfortunately, family are the ones that get the most comfortable with disrespecting you and harming you because they figure, well, she's not going to go anywhere. She's not going to do anything about it. But eventually, once you cut them off, then they see, like, I couldn't just continue to do that to her. With family, it's a really tricky subject. I haven't healed all the way yet from the things that my family have done to me. And they've done some pretty unforgivable things.
Viejo, mi querido viejo, ahora me siento como perdonando al mundo.
Y'all can take this for what it's worth, but I think there are some people that would rather be estranged from their own children than do the hard work of healing their inner child. Because when faced with the two options of either estrangement from their family or having to deal with their own demons, I think they decided to pick the lesser of the two evils, which is estrangement. Because when you're estranged, you can still live in your bubble that everything is the way that you think it is, that you're the victim. And how could they ever have anything negative to say about you? Dealing with issues head on, dealing with the fact that you might have fucked up, a lot harder. And I think some people just don't want to do it.
I'm 56 years old, and I've seen my dad one time since I was 22 years old. He's still alive. We just had a bad falling out. Now, you may be in a situation like that. And as we're coming up on the holidays, you know, it really hits a lot of people on bad blood among family members. Well, the reasons why, or forgiveness, or closure, or anything like that, that's not really what I'm talking about. But I am thinking about going to see him. He's in his 80s, and he's dying. And I thought, I need to go see him. And whether it's to make things right, what do I hope to occur? What do I expect? Do I expect him to say, I'm sorry I did you and your mom wrong. I apologize. I see the error of my ways. Oh, maybe. But what good's it going to do? It's not going to change anything. What I realized, and why I want to do that, is I realize that he's just human. That, look, he didn't abuse me. He didn't beat me. There was nothing like that. He did some shitty things. But I reached out to him on this Father's Day, and I said, you know what you did, what happened isn't right. But as I'm a grown man now, raising kids in my middle age, and I realize, hey, you know what? Life's hard, and you probably did the best with what you had, and that's it. You probably didn't intentionally mean to do a lot of things, but that's just it. I think a lot of us probably, if you really step back, we can either hang on to the bitterness, or we can look at our parents and go, they fucked up some, but they didn't know what they were doing either. And it wasn't until I realized that there's a lot that I do that we're all flying blind on this thing. We're all adults flying blind on how to raise kids, how to be a husband or a wife or a spouse, or go through things. Am I right? Nah. But I do hold a little space and grace for him now. That's it. Something to think about. That's the grown-ass advanced adulting stuff. Okay. If you're interested in doing more of that with me, follow me and reach out.
If he ignores the needs, the concerns, the feelings of his own children, he is not a good father. And he's not going to be a good man either. You understand me? He is not a good father. I don't care how many vacations he takes your kids on. I don't care how many birthday parties he attends with your kids. I don't care how many times he plays with your kids outside. I don't care if he's coaching your kids' soccer team. I don't care if he's coaching your kids' football team. I don't care if he is buying the kids everything they need. I don't care if he plays with the kids. If he is ignoring their feelings, their needs, and concerns, he's just a performative dad. It's all for show. Okay? If he can't value himself, how could he value his children who came from him?
I read a quote that said, "The oldest daughter's love life is a direct reflection of how much karma her father owed, and it is paid in full by that oldest daughter."
Okay, fathers, what are your thoughts on those videos? Interesting. Very, very interesting. This was an interesting live stream for me. The research part of it, because I looked at a lot of videos, particularly from psychologists, and just trying to get a feel for get a better understanding of this estranged adult child situation, because for me it just doesn't make any sense. So just wanted to share that with you, fathers, and hopefully I was able to bring something to you today. And for the fathers that have baby girls that are Gen Alpha, this could be an eye opener for you to look at things holistically. That's I think one of the things I walk away with when I look at my adult daughters is the holistic approach that I took. My body, mind, spirit, and soul. Mind, body, spirit, and soul is the approach I took to how raising my daughters, my 4 adult daughters. And, I looked through a totally different lens because I was a professional in the criminal justice system for 20 years. And then I also worked in K-12 education for 10 years. So I had 30 years of experience, professional experience of working with children from all socioeconomic backgrounds and their parents from all socioeconomic backgrounds and cultures. So, being a state juvenile probation officer and also dean of students and just working with thousands of children, I took a totally different approach holistically with my daughters because I had to. So, body, mind, spirit, soul, that's how I raised my daughters. And it worked out okay. It really did. So just want to share that with you, fathers. And hopefully I was able to bring something to you. Hope you have a further understanding. And, I just pray that children and parents get it together and work it out. But hey, I do understand there are some situations where a lot of children are feeling a certain way and they don't feel they can work it out with their parents because their parents don't want to take ownership or acknowledgement of anything. So I got to respect that. And I'll leave it at that. Okay, fathers, another live stream. And appreciate you. Kiss them babies, love them babies. Hug them. Show them that you love them. Tell them that you love them. Bring that protection and safety always to our children, to our baby girls. Okay, fathers. All right, I live stream once a week. And this was another good one. I appreciate you. And you know the routine, fathers. You definitely know the routine with Grow That YouTube channel. I'm out. Mis amigos. Hasta la próxima semana. Paz. Adios. Okay, fathers, until next week's live stream. This is Ephraim B. Martin. Peace.